Have you ever stopped to think why people who earn $10,000 a month remain broke? Why is that colleague of yours who earns 3 times what you earn always borrowing money? And more importantly, are you making the same mistake without even realizing it? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what pattern traps billions of people in the cycle of poverty, regardless of how much they earn. I'm going to tell the story of someone who started with $1,160 a month and still fell into the same trap that you might be falling into now. And I'm going to reveal the precise moment when everything changed for that person. Data from the Federal Reserve shows that 75% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency with their savings. This is not a lack of income, it's a lack of something far more fundamental. Let me tell you the story of Marcus, a young man who began his professional journey working at a local supermarket, earning the American minimum wage of approximately $1,160 a month. Marcus lived alone and faced real expenses, rent consuming half of his income, food, transportation, and other essential bills. He was disciplined, bought his food in inexpensive places, used public transportation, and really tried to make ends meet at the end of the month. But even with all that discipline, Marcus invariably spent everything he received each month. Sometimes he even exceeded his limits, using his credit card. And I had a thought that many share. If I could earn $2,000 a month, my whole situation would improve drastically. That promise kept him awake at night. A few months later, while talking to a friend who worked at a restaurant, Marcus discovered an opportunity to do freelance work on Friday through Sunday nights. He would lose his weekends, but the prospect of earning more motivated him. 2 months later, their combined earnings amounted to $2,400. He had finally reached that magic number. Here comes the part that nobody wants to admit about themselves. The moment Marcus saw his new salary, his first decision was to buy a motorcycle on credit. He justified the need for mobility. The old bicycle was no longer practical, but what Marcus couldn't see was that the bicycle kept him from unnecessary expenses and away from debt. Quickly, with his new expenses, he returned to his previous situation, spending absolutely everything and once again owing money on his credit card. Notice how the mental message changed. Now it was $2,400 is not enough. I need to earn $4,000 a month. Do you see how the pattern moves? Income increased, but satisfaction did not keep pace. Instead of acknowledging that he was earning more and saving the difference, Marcus increased his spending level proportionally to the increase in income. This is the pattern that traps billions of people. No matter how much income increases, the cycle remains intact. Over time, Marcus proved to be an exceptional employee. His dedication set him apart. Eventually, he was promoted to shift manager, now earning $4,000 a month. That was the number he had set as his goal, the target that was supposed to make him financially secure. Marcus had reached that milestone, but since it was completely predictable based on the established pattern, what did he do next? He sold his motorcycle and financed a new car. He moved from his apartment to a house he owned with a mortgage. His standard of living increased exponentially. At the end of the month, even though he earned $4,000, he continued to spend practically everything, accumulating debt on multiple fronts. Here's the critical point that most people never acknowledge. Marcus wasn't poor because he earned little. Marcus was poor because he couldn't control his spending. He could be earning $80,000 a month and still be in the same situation. This is the biggest mistake people make with their money. It's not a lack of income, it's a lack of basic financial education. You might be thinking to yourself, how can someone who earns between $4,000 and $7,000 a month be in debt? It seems illogical, right? But the reality is very different. Debt is not a result of earning too little. It is the result of an inconsistency between income and expenses. When someone develops the habit of spending 95% of what they earn, no matter how much they earn, there will always only be 5% left to deal with emergencies. Continuing this progression, Marcus finally passed a federal civil service exam for an administrative position that paid $15,000 a month. This represented an extraordinary achievement. He enrolled in courses and studied at night while working during the day. He dedicated 2 whole years of intense effort. The day he received the news of his acceptance was the best day of his life up to that point. Now, with this significantly higher income, Marcus made several decisions that seemed natural. He sold his previous car and bought a brand new vehicle financed over 60 months. He got married and, together with his wife, financed a larger house in a more developed neighborhood. He started paying tuition fees for his children's private schools. His monthly expenses now included the mortgage on his new house, car loan, children's education, and annual vacation trips. But even earning $15,000 a month, well above the American average, Marcus had a constant feeling that he didn't have enough money. There was no security. He was living under financial pressure. An emergency could destroy everything he had built. Because, you see, his expenses continued to follow his income. This continued for years. Marcus had opportunities to earn more, received a bonus. His wife got a job. Their family income reached $25,000 per month. But that feeling of living paycheck to paycheck never went away. Until one day, something changed. It wasn't a dramatic event. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't someone yelling at him to wake up. It was simply Marcus, sitting there, thinking about his life. He thought about his daughter asking if she could go to a dance class, and him having to say no because they had run out of money. Again and again. At that moment, Marcus asked a question that would change everything. If I earn $25,000 a month, why do I say no to my daughter? The answer was obvious as soon as he asked the question. That was because I was spending $25,000 a month. Actually, I was spending a little more. The credit was always there to cover the difference. Marcus began to question every expense. Not in a drastic way, not in a perfectionist way. He only just started to notice. He began to understand. The car, financed over 60 months, cost $1,200. The house was draining $5,000 on the mortgage. The children's private school cost $2,000. Restaurants and leisure activities totaled another $1,000. All of this seemed reasonable individually, but together it represented $14,000 out of his $25,000. Marcus realized something that few people can see. It wasn't that he wasn't earning enough money. It was because he was spending too much. And the important part of this is that spending less was completely under his control. He couldn't control his salary immediately, but he could control his spending. So it started small. He moved the house to a simpler place. Not luxurious, just adequate. This saved $2,000 a month. He transferred his children to a good quality public school. That saved another $1,000. He sold his financed car and bought a used car with cash. This eliminated $1,200 in monthly expenses. Everything happened suddenly. There was $4,000 a month that I hadn't had before. And here's the crucial part. Marcus didn't spend those $4,000 on anything else. He invested them. It started with a mutual fund index. Nothing sophisticated. I was simply putting $1,000 a month into a fund that tracked the entire market. Simple, passive, consistent. His friends thought he was crazy, that he was sacrificing himself unnecessarily, that he should enjoy life while he still had money. But Marcus had seen something he hadn't seen before. Money in the future is more valuable than things now. 5 years later, his fund had grown to $132,000. Not because he had done something extraordinary, but because it had been consistent, because he had let the money work for him. 10 years later, Marcus looked at his bank statement. There were $360,000 in the fund. $360,000. I earned it while I slept, while I was working, while he was living his life. 20 years later, that fund had grown to $1,200,000. $1 million. It started with $1,000 per month. Nothing sophisticated. There was nothing that Marcus did that was particularly special. It's simply consistency over time. Now, with that amount of money, Marcus could live off his investments. I could say no to jobs I didn't like. He could spend more time with his family. She could make choices based on her values, not on financial need. But here's the most important thing. Marcus wasn't extraordinarily intelligent. I didn't have access to information that you don't have. I didn't have opportunities that you don't have. Marcus simply understood one crucial thing. The pattern of spending everything needed to be broken. This is not an isolated incident. This is the norm among truly wealthy people. They don't get rich by spending. They get rich by not spending and investing the difference. I want you to understand something crucial. Starting now doesn't mean being perfect. It means to begin. It means saving $1 when before you saved nothing. It means putting $100 into an investment when before you were putting in $0. It means questioning a purchase when you wouldn't question any before. Small actions create big results over time. It's not dramatic. It's not revolutionary. It's just consistent, persistent, continuous. If you found this video valuable, please share it with someone you love. Someone who is trapped in a cycle of poverty without understanding why. Someone whose future could be transformed if they knew these truths. Leave a comment. Suggest a topic you'd like me to cover in the next video. You know, when I started my financial journey, I was exactly like Marcus. Earning little, spending everything, trapped in the cycle. But at some point, something clicked. I realized I was the only one responsible, that no one was coming to save me. that only I could make the change. From that moment on, every decision changed. He questioned every dollar he spent. He took every opportunity to earn more. Every penny he saved, he invested. And 20 years later, here I am. Free, safe, with the mission of helping other people get here too. So this is my final and most important piece of advice. Believe that you can do it. Because it can. Isn't it easy? No. Will it require sacrifice? Go. Will it test you psychologically? It happens often. But it's possible, absolutely possible. Millions of people around the world are doing this right now, earning normal salaries, investing consistently, building wealth. If they can do it, you can do it too. They have the same access to information, the same tools, the same opportunities. The only thing missing is the decision. So make the decision now, today. This second one, start with something small. Save $100 or whatever amount you have this month. Put it into a simple investment. It doesn't have to be complicated. Then celebrate this small victory. Because it's just beginning. It's moving. There's one last thing I want you to understand before you leave. The reason most people fail to create financial security is not a lack of intelligence. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's a lack of clarity. Many people don't know exactly how much they spend. They don't have a budget. They don't track your spending. So here's my challenge for you today. Track every dollar you spend next week. It doesn't mean cutting anything. Just know where you're going. You'd be surprised how much you spend on things you don't even realize. Apps, subscriptions you no longer use, eating out. Small things that add up to gigantic amounts over time. A person who spends $20 a day on coffee and fast food is spending $7,200 a year. When you see that annual number, it looks different, doesn't it? $7,200 could be your initial emergency fund. These could be your first investments. They could begin their journey to financial freedom. But that requires seeing. It requires awareness. Tracking is required. I want to share something Marcus said when he finally achieved financial freedom. He said, "The person I am today exists because the person I was 10 years ago made different choices." Think about it. 10 years isn't a very long time. 10 years go by quickly, but 10 years of consistent decisions create completely different realities. Imagine where you'll be in 10 years if you keep doing what you're doing now. If you continue spending everything you earn. If you continue to believe that the problem is earning too little. If you keep postponing the moment to begin. Where could it be? Still in the same place. In debt. Anxious. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine where you'll be in 10 years if you start today. If you save $1,000 a month. If you invest consistently. Question every purchase. Where could it be? How much would I have saved? How much would you have invested? How much would your investments have grown? This is the question that should be echoing in your mind. What kind of future am I building with my decisions today? Because here's what nobody talks about. You are the sum of your past decisions. If you're financially broke right now, it's because you made choices that led you to this point. But the good news is that it also means you can make different choices from now on. Your financial future is not determined by your past. It is determined by your choices from now on. Someone started investing at age 30. Someone started at 40. Someone in their 50s. He who started at 30 has a 20-year head start, compounded. But someone who started at 50 still has 20 years ahead of them. There's still time. There's always time to start. The only time it's truly too late is when you give up. When you accept that you can't do it. When you internalize the belief that you are trapped. Because once you internalize that belief, it becomes true. You stop trying. You stop questioning. You stop imagining a different future. But if you're still here with me, right now, listening to these words, it means you still believe you can. It means there is still hope for you. It means there's still a possibility for you to do it. And that possibility is real. So let me be straight with you. This is your moment of decision. Are you going to continue as you are? Or are you going to do something different? Because in order to change, you need to decide. Decision-making without action is just fantasy. But decision-making with action leads to transformation. Start today. Save what you can. Put it into a simple investment. Track your expenses. Question every purchase. Find areas where you can cut. Look for ways to earn more. But more important than earning more, learn to spend less. Because earning more is something that isn't guaranteed. Spending less is completely under your control. Never underestimate the power of a small, consistent action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be better than yesterday. Save $1 today, $2 tomorrow, $5 next week. It's not the quantity that matters. It's about consistency. It's the habit you're building. Because in the end, wealth isn't about having a lot of money. money. Wealth is having options. It's about having the freedom to choose. It's about having security. It's knowing that you can handle life when it throws challenges your way. And this is available to you. It's not reserved only for privileged people. It's not reserved only for intelligent people. It's available to anyone who decides to do things differently. When you reach your financial goals, come back here and leave a comment. I want to hear your story. I want to celebrate your victory. I'm Kissing a DC, and I'll see you in the next video.